It's good to be home. After 11 straight road trips in the month of December, the way that kind of fell apart as far as scheduling was concerned, it's just good to be home at the Mabee Center. I thought we had a little rust in our game, even just being back on our home court tonight, but I like the effort from the players. Thought we had a really strong first half defensively, low turnovers, actually for both teams, but a good rebounding effort on our part throughout the game. It just felt like I didn't like the way that the starters began the third quarter. Just a lack of aggressiveness at both ends. I felt like we settled for mid-range jump shots as opposed to hunting the rim, and then I just felt like defensively kind of going through the motions a little bit. But besides that little 4-minute gap right in there, I liked being able to play a lot of different combinations tonight and kind of share the minutes. Nobody's minutes were too high, which was good, but this is an important time of year for us because we're going to have the bulk of our home games now coming up over the next 3 weeks or so, and so that's a really important time, especially in the Summit League with travel being the way it is. So it's just good to be home and good to be back with family and friends and put my travel bag up in the attic for a couple of weeks and not have to keep it ever ready like it has been in December. But proud of the girls. We had a good week of practice this week leading up, and we definitely have a big picture perspective, I would say, right now, too. And so just some little details, but that's kind of where we are still at this time of year. But I think the big concepts are there, and I'm pleased overall and pleased to move forward from this one. The thing that happened at Western that I think is going to be really advantageous for us is that their zone, for first-year players who saw it for the first time, it's unique. And you can talk a lot about it in the scouting report. You can talk about it in practice, but they almost have to kind of play against it for the first time. But they were almost, we were very analytical at the start of that game offensively and just not being very aggressive. And it took us the majority of the first half even to just begin to look for a rhythm offensively. We were really content to just overpass and not attack. A little similar to how we came out at the start of the third quarter here tonight, even though it's a different scheme and a different team. But it was a learning game for us, very much so. I was still happy defensively with what we did at Western, being able to hold them to what we did on their home court. There are a lot of teams in the conference that there's kind of some things that you can do to prepare for them that the similarities carry over to other opponents. You can kind of refer back and say, okay, remember when we played against this opponent? We're going to do this the same way. And of course, the plan for Western, because of what JD does defensively, is very different. And so I'm looking forward to our girls, a little bit of a baptism by fire for those first-year players that got to see it for the first time. But that's an old one now, but I do think that Maya especially came out tonight. I like that she had the most field goal attempts this evening, taking 15 from the field, because I felt like Maya was a big part of why we didn't start the game aggressively on offense at Western. So it's good to kind of see her come back and kind of take the reins again and look for her shots early on. Well, we've been talking a lot already, and there are some things that we do that we'll do the same with them defensively, and so, but we've been very careful to make sure that we've structured practices to where there's some things that can kind of go both directions for the games, but we've definitely had a focus just on the Bison and North Dakota State. And so starting tomorrow with film and then with practice in the afternoon, that's when we'll start talking about South Dakota State for the first time. But I think tonight was we needed to have a good experience tonight, and I believe we did. And then we need to take another step forward and be ready to go on Saturday. But leading up to last week's road trip, we kind of got the sickness going about 10 days ago.